Also, good morning this morning. It's a beautiful time once again on Souq Business Landscape. I am Hans Mba. Today, as usual, we look at business headlines from various key publications from across the world, continent to continent, Nigeria to Africa, Asia, Europe, Americas, especially as it concerns us and how we can apply ourselves, and we'll do this together this morning. Remember, follow us at Souq News TV, on YouTube and across all social media. Remember, again, the hashtag is hashtag SBL as we interact with us. So we're looking at headlines from across the world, and we'll let you know earlier on. We'll jump right to it. Business Day, Nigeria. Dangote-Regulator rift threatens jobs, investments. Creates bad waves for Nigeria globally, says additional. Gabon president invites Dangote to invest in cement and fertilizers. How is this rift, Doc, between Dangote and the rest threatening jobs and investments?
Well, there are two ways to it. We've happened this in the last 3 days since the regulators decided to dance naked in the streets. Yes, of course.
What a way to put it.
Oh, yeah.
But he responds by showing that he was upset, which is something that's not good for business.
No. You see,
by offering to sell.
Yeah, but you see, it's not even Dangote's end.
Do you think he means it?
You see, if you are a regulator,
yes,
and you are doing what is right, you should know that you are doing what is right.
What if you don't know?
So now that they don't know, which means they are not competent, so they shouldn't be there really. You can imagine the level of outcry. In short, right yesterday at the floor of the Senate is really saying right now that the regulators should be probed. Other opinion models in society are asking the same questions. Because you cannot really understand what point they are making. What is the point? The point here is that you said Dangote
monopolizing businesses.
Want to monopolize
the sector.
Petrol. Since 1972, you have run down what you have. You have set goalposts after spending billions and billions of dollars,
and you keep shifting the goal
to feast your refinery, that today we will get petrol, next tomorrow we will get petrol. The last headline we read from NNPC head was the fact that this time in December there will be petrol. This time we are not lying. So this time we are not lying. So it gives you an indication of what the problems really are. See, if we have a problem, there are things they call upselling. That Nigeria really know that we have a problem. And what is this problem? That there is difficulty in the land. People are having challenges. Commutation is becoming difficult. So what should the government be talking about? Government will be looking at how do we ameliorate the sufferings of the people. And that is see how to drag price downward. That's what government should be interested in. But what our government seems to be interested in, especially from the angle of the regulator, is more price. And that's what makes them happy. How has Dangote not even started selling petrol?
It's boggling, though.
You get from place to place. In the city, you are lucky. But if you go to my village, petrol is 1,200 per liter. It's not 750, it's not 150. So people are bearing the brunt. Now, if we can have Dangote supply us fuel, we have solved logistic problem. We have retained some foreign exchange. That's what it should be for us.
True.
And I'm shocked.
But I want to ask a key question. Does it also affect the price? Does it affect the price of what the people will buy?
It's not even the price. If you commute on Third Mainland to the mainland down to Baga, you see, the roads are blocked. because on a daily basis, there are queue in the filling stations. That should not be. People have money and they want to buy fuel, but they also have to queue. As I'm coming out this morning, early this morning, as at 5 a.m., people are already queuing, waiting for petrol. That's a misnomer.
It is.
So
Again, Doc, let me ask. From what you have said about him and helping to ameliorate the problems, do you think petrol will be cheaper?
yeah, but that is a question that people are throwing to NNPC. If Dangote can build a 650,000 barrel daily production refinery,
Here.
maybe in 5 years, we cannot even fix or repair our own in 20 years. They are the one giving license to people. They are the one that endorse Dangote. Nobody stopped Nigerian refineries from working. If Nigerian refineries are working, Dangote will have to compete.
Right.
But we have made the refineries not to work. So the refinery is not working. And now you are claiming monopoly. How does this align? It just shows that there are some people in some quarter. And I think that the government of the day must also bear this in mind. That they are really not just sabotaging Dangote. They are actually sabotaging the president himself. That's the truth.
Doc, one last time before we leave this topic. It's just an aside. Do you think petrol will be cheaper?
It can be cheaper.
If this, okay.
It can be cheaper because
Speculating.
this is it.
Speculating.
You look at it, what they call reverse auction. I take crude to Malta, have you? There's a cost attached to it. They bought at a profit. They process it there. Workers are paid. Everybody gets something.
More cash.
And then the crude also come back through logistics to Nigeria.
More money spent.
More money. And then, of course, we just put crude here. And we don't need to travel up to Malta or to go to Netherlands to go and get petrol. There's no how it will not affect pricing. And this is a question that we've been asking, that what about the 450,000 daily production quota that is given to NNPC to produce? Who is accounting for that? You know, Falona was asking that question.
Nobody.
Nobody can account for it.
Nobody.
And they don't want this rent-seeking behavior to end. And I think the president should wear the very huge hammer this time around, so that people understand that he's serious and he means well for the nation, and not allow people to sabotage him in the name, of some hidden agenda they are carrying.
Right. Next headline: growing housing gap requires 5.5 trillion naira year to close. Doc.
Yeah.
We have talked about housing for a really long time, and there are still people that don't have the access. And there's talks in certain quarters that, when these houses, we've seen houses prop up around the country, and before you know it, it's all taken. And people are wondering, what is the issue? Who are the people that are taking these houses when there's still the deficit, there's still that problem of no housing for the people, for the middle and the lower class?
Yeah, but it's just because how am I going to put it, that we are living in an environment where people can just adjust to some situation.
Easy.
How are you going to know whether we have a housing problem? Is to drive around Lagos, for example, in the night and see the number of people who are sleeping in the motor park.
Even, the road breaker in the middle?
Yes.
That's where they are sleeping.
So to tell you that so many people have no homes. And they are saying that, look, for you to fix this, you need to spend up to about 5 trillion naira, at least to bridge the gap. You need about 200 million units of housings so that you can fix people in. This is There'll be 20 million of houses, This is really a big conundrum. Again, it goes back to why people always point to leadership when we have crises like this. In some spaces today, what people are doing, they're doing vertical development.
Yes.
But here, we are still giving plot of land to people.
We're spreading.
And somebody just put
horizontally.
one bungalow there. So how are we going to develop the real estate in this part of the world? I don't understand what the Ministry of Housing is doing. We have an institution called the Federal Mortgage Bank that's supposed to be affording people money to be able to buy houses. But again, when you look at it vis-a-vis, especially for the working class, when you have a minimum wage of less than $30 in a month, it can't add up to buying a house. So you find that even people who are at grade level 10, 12, 13, 14 can really not afford a one-bedroom bungalow.
True.
If they have to pay it through their working life. This is a challenge. And I think this is where we need the huge intervention of these basic agencies and to see how to structure some of all these things such that you don't have these gap as we are seeing it today. If you get mortgage bank to get land from states, for example, and actually build the homes and allocate, and then take rent.
No, but that's what's been happening.
Nobody
But the allocation is what people can.
No.
When it gets to the allocation part, people cannot explain it. People don't.
You see, it's not. You see, it's just principle of demand and supply. If the houses are few, we're talking about real estate gluts in China.
Yeah.
Because there's so much house and nobody to stay inside it. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You can imagine that they are building houses and they're actually taking rent or partnering with estate developers. But this one is not just to build small houses.
And few.
No. Build major houses, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, in one massive 3-acre of land. And then it can have about 500 houses unit inside one. And then you sell or you lease. So this will be able to accommodate some people who are at the low end of the run. So they can't buy a plot of land. At least they should be able to get that happens in the UAE also. And that's the way real estate is doing. When they are developing new site, they prioritize their low wage earners and say, okay, you cannot get 3-bedroom, but inside this building there is a 1 room you can buy. And you pay over a period of time. And then these people buy and they also sublet to people who are, if they can't live in it. So this should really create an economy for us. And of course, again, we have not exploited the real estate business very well as a people.
On to Kenya Business Daily. Expats in Kenya wire out record 87 billion shilling. So data shows that foreigners wired 7.2 billion shillings a month in March 2023, posted the biggest outflow of 8.3 billion shillings outflow from Kenya.
Bros, if you were the one who gone, where will you keep your money?
People say Kenya doesn't have that much money, and that's what people are.
Yeah, but you see, people are seeing the handwritings on the wall.
8.3 billion
a
month.
People are moving money out. That's what it is of the economy. Because they don't want to be trapped. And this is where the challenge is for President Ruto to really sit down and rethink some of the things. You see, there are a lot.
Some of the promises he made.
It's not just promises. It's also to understand that, look, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to solving nations' problems.
To anything, Doc. Currently, to anything.
So I think he's looking out for help. I read yesterday somewhere where he was calling out the people who were financing the protester to come out with alternative. And I said, that's giving into failure because you drove the entire process to chase out the opposition in a popular election because of the high-sounding promises that was made. Now, but things are not adding up. So for me, it's how to bring people together and sit down around table and
Have those
look
hard
out.
conversations.
Yes, a conversation. And the big problem in Africa is our communication. That in terms of leadership, communication, sincerity is key. That you are not afraid or ashamed to say, I don't know.
Right.
I need help.
Right.
So, we saw him sack cabinets. Now some of them are being readmitted again. So, are these things touched true?
So, Doc, sorry, because this has gone on for too long. So what was Ruto doing before now?
Yeah, been aspiring to become the president of...
Before the aspiration, because it's looking like he didn't plan for what he is seeing and what he's reacting to. So he's reacting.
You know, I usually say to my friends...
And not responding.
It's the way people appraise government or assess leaders of state is that they just sit down in their corner of the house and say, I will do this, do this, do this, do this. I'll just fix it. I used to tell my wife every time he complained to me about government, and I say, government don't have money now. Government don't have money. If your government doesn't have money, how is that government going to survive? It has to look for money. So it's like asking me to go buy a house in Banana Island. Where will I get the money?
Doc.
Now, if you
How
not say
don't-
because
how don't
if
we
you
have
not
money,
if
Doc?
you not say that because I didn't buy house in Banana Island, it means that I have failed. So be it. Because I don't want to steal and I don't want to do rituals.
Doc, how is it that, let me put in your context, how is it that you don't have money?
Because I don't have.
No, but you're churning out crude of oil steady, you know.
Yeah, but there's a value to that crude that we are churning out. We can put the mathematics. It's not a rocket science. How much of crude are we producing? We are producing as of today maybe 1.6 or 1.7 million barrels daily. We know how much the crude is selling in the international market,
Yes.
isn't we?
Yes.
And we know that the crude production does not belong to us alone. It belongs to both us and those who are drilling, the IOCs. Now we have to know what percentage of this money of the crude that is coming to us. We can use calculator to calculate it. Then you know how rich your government is.
Yes, but that money comes to us. What are we doing with it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. See, if a man who is earning 50,000 naira in a month, and another one is earning 500 million in a month, are you expecting that they be living in the same environment?
Not really.
So, is it that the 50,000 is not coming monthly?
It is.
So, why is he not able to live in the environment where the other man is living? So, people must understand that governments are like individuals who are constrained. And now, what we should be thinking about is that if government is constrained in terms of resource, how are we going to generate more resource so that we have more money for government? These are the conversations that people should sit down and ask. Now, for a person like Ruto, the easiest and shortest way for government to get money is more taxation.
That's a dangerous.
Oh,
that's
yes,
a
and the
dangerous-
people are saying,
that's a dangerous
oh,
route to
we're
go.
already overtaxed, so we don't have more money. So where are you going to get this tax from? And Ruto said, my hands are tied. The only option is to go and borrow. And you are saying he cannot borrow. And you say he cannot tax. So how will he make progress?
Protest.
So you go to protest, destroy your infrastructure, and then come back and start rebuilding.
And make it worse. Doc, next headline still on Business Daily. NCBA overtakes KCB equity in high-value accounts. So NCBA Bank has beaten its rivals, including KCB Bank and Equity Bank in Kenya, to hold the largest number of high-value accounts with deposits of more than 100,000 shilling as at December last year. The fight of the banks.
You know, we talked about this Souq Bank before.
Yes. Because
since that's the only way money is coming and people are making profit.
Doc, not just banks and schools.
Yeah, but at least I think in the interim, where you see this thing really happening is in the banks. So banks are making really cashing out, as the young generation calls it. So I think we should invest in the bank. So we can cash out also.
Mr. Walsh, this one is for you. You and Doc. All right, next headline. Doc, so in the intelligence article section, this caught my eye and I thought you should speak on it. And it says, when leaders do not encourage alternative voices, employees feel that their contributions are not valued. Yeah. This is the intelligence section of Business Daily.
Oh, yeah, but that's true. It's fundamental.
You know, but one of the things that happens around here is many times the elites play that role of, okay, Gen Zs, millennials, you guys, you don't know what you're talking about. We got this. We have this covered. Which is what this, I believe, this is.
Yeah, but that's the beginning of the failure of leadership. And that's why you see that people talk about one of the greatest virtue of any leader is flexibility, which means that, of course, you have the ability to listen and to reorder your course.
To receive feedback.
Yes, of course, especially from those who are at the bottom rungs.
Right.
Oh, yes. You see, you live all your life in comfort. You don't even know how to bend an iron. So it will need an iron bender to tell you that this is the best way to bend an iron. You could read the theory in your head in school, but it's different from the practice. I was speaking with a friend of mine recently, and he said, you know, he was trying to lose a brain buzz. And he said he spent almost 15 hours trying to lose it. So eventually he had to go to a mechanic by the roadside, and he got to that place, and the man gets into the vehicle, and in 15 minutes the brain buzz was out. So experience is different from theory. So these are the things that leaders must know everywhere, that you have to value the contribution of your subordinate. In short, UAE has been able to actually model this practice in terms of even writing a law to say every worker, you must tell us at least twice in a year how your work can become better. Because he who wears the shoes know where it pinches.
True.
So you cannot downplay...
Unless you are not wearing the shoes.
Yeah. You cannot downplay the voices of your workers. So every intelligent leader must necessarily listen to the voices of people, then aggregate it, and then you'll be able to sift out the ones that are not workable from the ones that are workable. Otherwise, you can actually synthesize and then have a very robust decision that moves the organization forward.
Well spoken, Doc. Well spoken. On to Financial Times in Bangladesh. Small gets big push. So budget gives income, of course, tax is what they're talking about here. Budget gives income, tax, breaks, incentives for job creation. Also, it poses questions like, will the old tax regime be scrapped?
Yeah, but I think this is what nations are doing globally. It's also good to note that the tax head, Oyedele, also had made these suggestions even in our own clan here. You see, if your income, your disposable income is becoming thinner and thinner, it doesn't make sense taxing it.
Of course.
Otherwise,
of course.
Yes, of course, they will not be able to do so much. And this is where government needs to really understand how to use taxation maximally to grow the economy. I think that's what Bangladesh are trying to do, to see how to reduce, put more money in the hands of workers.
Of the people.
Yeah, so that they will be able to make more purchases, because it is the extent to which people are able to buy, that companies are able to produce, then jobs are created or even retained. Because if businesses are not making profits because people are not able to buy, what happened? Business fold up.
Stagnation.
You lose jobs.
Hence the tax.
Oh yeah, so that is why there's a wisdom in having to lower income tax for people, so that they can have a lot of disposable income and then be able to buy stuff.
Correct. Sting in the tail for investors. So many fear that the rise in long-term capital gains tax, still on tax, may not be the last one. So the good news is that the capital gains limit, which will not attract any tax, has been increased in Bangladesh from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakhs. It seems like such a small increment, but it's telling on the people.
Yeah.
Now, it poses the question, tax. Each time tax is increased, are the people considered?
Well,
Because it seems like we don't care, just pay this amount or you go down the rabbit hole.
no, but look, I see the governments find themselves in a well. And this has been my real advocacy. There's no way that we can be pro-poor without being pro-business. Never. It will not work. If a government had to be pro-poor, the only way to achieve that is to be pro-business. That's a simple way. Because it's only when businesses are prospering that you can actually meet the need of the poor people. But incidentally, there is societal pressure on government to do more. So the burden of government is increasing because citizens are placing more and more demands on government in terms of building infrastructure, work-class facilities, and the rest of it. And so government is struggling. And so they are spending so much money. And the only way government make money is either they tax, they fine, or they receive a gift from people.
Doc, that doesn't sound nice at all. Which means they have to create problems
Oh yeah,
to get money.
money. So that's the other way.
That's not right.
So, and this is why really people must understand the function of the modern state. I cannot state it more clearly than people like Thomas Hobbes, Jean Jacques Rousseau, John Locke articulated in their thesis on the origin of the state. The state was supposed to be a mediator between the strong and the weak.
Right.
So the role of the state is like having to mediate so that the strong does not wipe out the weak. So that balancing act is what state ought to be doing.
Do you think that's what's happening?
But that's not what's happening, because the states are biting more than they can chew. And therefore, the pressure is on both the people. Because at the end of the day, it comes back to you. If you are asking us to do more, then of course, we have to take more from you to be able to do more. This is why you find that taxation is getting wild as today. There are some people, you say in the UK, for example, on income tax, people are paying as much as 40%, depending on how much you are earning.
Yes.
That's huge. If you go to Germany, corporate tax is about 43%. Even here, where we are struggling with 20-25% corporate tax, go and look at it. We still, out of that, take out some percentage for education, take out some percentage for interventions, and the rest of it is still coming from the same business. And then you have to pay regulatory fees and the rest of it. So,
Doc.
so at the end of the day, you just find that because government is struggling to survive, because we have given a role to the government, which of course had not been conceived even in the design of the modern architecture of state. But we have a lot of activists who are out there.
If that's a book, I'd like for you to, let me have it. Where you talked about the architecture of state and what these three people have posed.
Oh yeah, you find that, yeah.
Please, we'll have this off-air conversation.
No
I need to read that.
Thompson wrote very beautifully on that wall where he calls it the modern political thought. You go and read it, you will see a whole lot of all this articulation on how state came into being and what were supposed to be the function of the state.
On to Gulf Times in Qatar. Leisure Bank posts net profits first H1 of 54.1 million reals. So if you're wondering, Leisure Bank, formerly known as Qatar First Bank, is an independent Sharia-compliant bank in Qatar. Okay, so Leisure Bank represents 6.4%, which is the news here, increase compared to the corresponding period last year. Leisure Bank.
Please go and invest in stock in banks. That's really where profit
Stock?
is coming.
No. Souq Bank, please. Hear it.
Just buy bank stock and you are sure of dividend anywhere in the world.
No, but it keeps fluctuating, Doc.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. But see, they are cashing out. You just be part of the trail.
Okay. Next headline, GWC posts half-yearly net profit of 100.4 million reals on revenues of 748.3 million reals. So Gulf Warehousing Company has earned total revenues of 748 reals and their net profit is 100 million reals.
Business really happening in the Gulf.
Should we consider moving, Doc?
Well, I don't think it's moving because
we already have a branch out there, but
yeah,
maybe we should move there and run things from there.
But we decide to come home because they said charity begins at home.
No, we just come home Christmas.
No. You see, the human beings who are doing this are just human. They are not having two heads.
They don't have
two
heads.
As a matter of fact,
they're not spirits.
They are not more intelligent than us. And
Right.
if you really get into what is happening around the Gulf region, you will see that they are actually tasking our head to build this. Now, the unfortunate thing is, why have we not been able to harness the minds that lives in this environment to create an environment where prosperity is meaningful? That is the real puzzle that we need to ask ourselves.
Doc, you're smiling, but I think I need to take a break and go cry over a cup of coffee. Thank you for staying with us on Souq Business Landscape. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 a.m., and we bring you exciting business, economy, and development headlines from across publications out there in the world. My name is Hans Mba. Thank you, Doc, for being here.
Always a pleasure to
stay here for more programming. Bye.